Geekication, Laurie Kilmartin.
Laurie, I don't have any headphones. How are you?
Jackie, we can still hear you. I can't believe it, but you have vocal control.
All right, well, I'm trying to get close, trying to get real close. Anybody want to see the aging process? Get in on
Jackie,
it.
the aging process is devastating. I'm trying to do more Instagram reels, and I actually got like a little like a tripod with a giant ring light attached, so I throw my phone in it and do a quick reel before a show. I was thinking I could
Okay.
just hashtag it show prep and do just a quick like under a minute little chat, and
Yeah.
it's horrific. Like I can't find a good filter for a reel. I guess there's good filters for photos, but I'm using Golden Bloom, but it just makes me look like I'm on the sun. Fooling nobody. I don't know. Go.
I was talking to, well, on TV, everybody has professionals and there's filters. So the aging process is real. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But when you see people on TV and stuff, you should know that not just makeup, but sometimes real, honest to God filters. And I was talking to Virginia about doing this, and she was like, "What do you think about this uncanny valley?" And she sent me a clip where we both looked like we were in Guardians of the Galaxy and were Kurt Russell. We looked very young, is what I'm saying. We were babies. So anywhere between that is what we're looking for.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's look young on video, and then they book us, and then we show up looking like hags, but it's too late because we're already there.
Contract been signed. Boom. Done and done. So I am knackered as all hell. I am so freaking tired, man.
Yeah, you're doing a ton of money making. I call it. You call it travel. I call it mortgage payments.
Sure. I'm on the road with Brian Regan, who, by the way, I haven't worked with in probably a full year, I would say. And it's got to be 35, 40 minutes of new material.
Wow.
And
incredible.
It is. And he's working on it. And there's punchlines, but there's more coming. And it's all smart and silly and awesome. And it's just a delight to just sit there and freaking giggle, because that's what it is. It's a giggle. I was super nervous, as I always am before I work with him, that I'm going to have Tourette's and the 9-year-old in the front row is going to his parents are going to storm out. But
so far, so good.
So far, so good. I've not snapped. Yes.
The real Jackie has been sublimated. Fingers crossed.
Where did
Corporate
we
Jackie
were
takes over.
Worcester, Mass. Yeah, Worcester, Mass. An old friend of mine showed up, and she was like, "I don't know if I'm going to stay for Brian." And I was like, "Where is your ticket?" She goes, "Front row." I know.
Oh my God.
She's a friend from college, so she doesn't know. None of my friends from college, none of my family, like people just don't know who comics are. Yeah, and so I was like, "You got to stay for Brian." And she was like, "Well," and I said, "Where are you sitting?" She goes, "Front row." And I'm like, no, you either sit in the back. And she was like, "All right." And so I talked to her. She was like, "He's really," and I'm like, yeah. No,
He's really good. Oh my God.
Thanks. Yes, it turns out.
So we're still getting the word out about Brian Regan. Like, we have no hope. If there are Americans that aren't aware of how funny Brian Regan is, what's the point, honestly? We're a fractured economy, or a fractured population, I guess.
Right, and then but right after Worcester, we had to overnight drive to Buffalo, New York. And so we're on the bus, the tour bus.
What kind of a drive is that?
I think it's like 7 hours.
And you have a little bed on the tour bus?
Yeah, there's like a bunk.
Could you take pics, please? I want to know what a tour bus looks like. You don't have to post them; just send me.
Okay, well, I don't know that I'll be on it tonight, but but the next time is hopefully there is a next time, because that's the other thing too. I'm always like, does everyone like me? Is it gonna be okay?
Right.
And so I just. There's nothing not to like. I'm a perfectly nice person.
I've been told by so many people in arguments. Does he have like, you know how like Maron or other Berbiglia too will go like to a club that they could easily fill, but they'll be like, hey, I'm workshopping, heads up, this might not be good. So which I'm sure it's great and their fans love it, but like, so does he have dead spots like that, or does he like, how's he come up with 40 when he's touring for people that love him instead of just popping up like in a little location secretly doing shows,
Right. To my knowledge, he does no small gigs in between. He works on the new stuff in between the old stuff, like you do.
Right.
In front of essentially 2,000 to 7,000 people. So
Wow.
I'm like, whenever I see him work on new stuff, I'm like, yeah, you just worked on. All right, is that okay? And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And he tagged one of my jokes, Laurie. He that's some royalty. That'll do.
Yes, absolutely.
And he did it in the way that you're supposed to do it, which is take or leave it. I just had an idea. And you're like, yes, Brian Regan, I would like to hear what that idea is. That'd be great.
Did you try it yet?
I tried it once. I stumbled over it a little bit.
Okay.
Because it's in the middle of my driving bit. He came up with sort of a little deviation. And, yeah. But, and then tour manager guy was like, you should plug your website and stuff. And I was like, well, would Brian be okay with that? And he's like, yeah. And then David Wills, Jeff Wills' brother, right? He did the voice of God. And he pitches me.
Is he?
Yeah. Live Nation.
I didn't know Jeff had a brother. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think he used to work for Live Nation, but I think that now he just works for Brian. So
I've known Jeff since like the beginning, because he was working for John Fox at the Punchline, and then Bill Graham Presents owned the Punchline, and they parted ways with John Fox and hired Jeff, and then I guess they got bought by Live Nation, so that's how that all happened. But it's weird to like he's been a party to a million comedy careers, but it's like, yeah, we've also been a party of yours. It's kind of weird, interesting. I don't know, or maybe not at all.
I wish you would have been there last night, because there was talk of so much Bay Area comedy, and there used to be a club in Walnut Creek.
Yeah, the Punchline.
There was a Punchline in Walnut Creek?
Yes. How is this new information?
When was that?
Well, the 90s and some of the 2000s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the club where I got into the San Francisco comedy competition. They had the finals of the last couple people that were eligible. And I'll tell you the bit that did it, that Ann Fox loved, because she commented, was where I was like, it was something about how, women, we wear an empathy belly, women to simulate being pregnant, and men should, to experience the same, men wear the empathy belly, right? But basically, instead of wearing it, they should swallow it. And then you would coax the shit out like it was a baby. Jackie, it murdered.
Right. It was dark even 30 years ago. Laurie Kilmartin's like, eat it. Eat the empathy belly.
Eat it, men, and blow your anuses out. That's what I want from you. Jackie, why did I never marry?
We'll never know. Too funny. So we went to Buffalo, and then I was so tired, but I really wanted to see Niagara Falls. So I had a journey where, and this is so funny, because I was talking to Maria, and the hotel was weird. It was it used to be a psych, like an asylum.
A mental institution?
Yeah, it used to be a mental institution. It's called the Richardson Hotel. It's in Buffalo, New York. And it's this old castle thing with 20-foot ceilings, and it's sort of gorgeous and sort of creepy and sort of troubled. And the people who work there were not happy and not particularly helpful. And and I mentioned that to Maria. Maria goes, "You know what that always means?" And I said, "What?" She said that somewhere one of the bosses are really mean. And I said, you're exasperatingly correct, because now I have to have empathy. Speaking of an empathy belly, I have to have empathy for these people who work for a shitty boss. But so they gave me, the woman at the front desk couldn't have cared less that there were dirty towels in my room.
Yeah.
And then she gave me the wrong directions to the wrong visitor center for the Niagara Falls. And I had slept until like noon, so I didn't get. So I by 1 o'clock, I had not eaten or had any coffee, and I was at the wrong visitor center in Buffalo, which happened to be next to a Bob Evans. So whenever I get lost or whenever I'm super angry, I like to take myself to lunch, Laurie. That's what I like to do. I like to say, well, why don't you go get a couple of eggs? And here's what you should know about Buffalo, New York. It's fucking Brigadoon. I had one egg.
I don't know what that means.
Brigadoon is an old musical, and it only shows up every 100 years, and it's adorable. And so, Buffalo,
you're
New
saying
York.
Buffalo is adorable?
Buffalo is adorable. I go into Bob Evans.
Okay, that's why it didn't track with me. I thought, is Brigadoon have a different meaning that I don't understand?
No, the fact that you couldn't believe that Buffalo, New York is adorable. It is.
No.
It is. Have you been?
Well, let's see. I worked the Funny Bone there once, and I don't think I've been back since. So maybe I was there during a less adorable time.
Well, go to the
Did you
Bob
ever work
Evans.
that Funny Bone?
I think I opened for Maria because we went afterwards, and someone was there.
No, but I mean, like in the 90s, the guy who ran it, I think, was an extra on an SNL sketch and would show it to everybody who worked at the club. And you had to be like, wow, that's great.
Oh.
I think I've only done.
So I don't think I was flattering enough.
Right, I think I did. I opened for Maria at what is now a Helium there. So, yeah. But, so I took myself to lunch, and then I took another lift all the way to Niagara Falls. And then I walked up, and I got to see Niagara Falls. So that was kind of really cool. And then we had a show. Yeah, it was gorgeous. I would like to see the Canadian side, though I'm told that it's very, very touristy.
I saw the Canadian side when I did that JFL Toronto tour. We swung by. It was unbelievable. It's so incredible. I mean, there were a lot of people there, but once you get up to the very railing, and if you position yourself, it's you and just Niagara Falls looking at it, and you know, it's unbelievable. Beautiful.
That's awesome. My neck hurts. I gotta change the angle of this camera. Yes.
Jackie, I was listening to the radio last night, and Jessie Thorn, Bullseye, came on, and he was talking to somebody, but somehow in his chit chat, he mentioned being in Austin at that time and going to Franklin's Barbecue and how great it is. And I thought maybe we should try.
That's Maron's go-to.
I don't know.
And
is it really?
Yeah. He always recommends it. And the one time I've been to Franklin's Barbecue was on his recommendation, and I mentioned his name. And I don't know that I got something free, but I might have got something free. But
all right,
it's nice to get something free.
Let's try this. You say Maron, I'll say Jessie, and we'll see who has the 3D clout.
All right,
Mr. Max Fun, yourself. Let's check it out.
Right.
Let's see. I was home. I did some spots. I didn't do a lot. I was, hanging out with my son, and he had a lot of water polo finals, and they had a banquet on Friday night, and he got the plaque for best defensive player. And what did you hold up?
I got him a book.
Did you hold something up?
A graphic novel.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll love it. Thank you. We just finished watching Attack on Titan last night, and it was incredible. If
so were
the
you
whole
caught
series
up?
is a lot to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, it ended.
Oh, okay.
It ended. I might watch it again.
Did the big
whole
people
thing.
and the little people become friends in the end?
I refuse to entertain this question. It's uninformed. And you've embarrassed yourself,
you know what it
Jackie,
is?
and you don't even know it.
Here's the thing. It's the most informed because really it's about the big people eating the little people.
Jackie, again, I'm sorry. One day you'll realize how embarrassed you should be right now, and you'll want to delete this podcast from the internet.
She's become all that she fights. She's become a bully.
It's
which she are you talking about right now?
You guys are you're just committed to the.
Okay, so I have this weird because Taylor Tomlinson got At Midnight, or it's called After Midnight, right? So
Comic
that's
of the
really
week.
cool news. Former Comic of the Week, we did call it. Yeah, she's funny, she's young, she's like there's no complaints. You know what I mean? It's cool. And it's not the same. It's not a late night show. Like, as far as I know, it's going to be like the old At Midnight, which is more pop culture-y, a lot more joke oriented. And it's not like she's going to be doing a monologue on abortion every night. It's not like that.
One can hope.
We also, I would hope we also have a late night female host, along the lines of Amber Ruffin, who actually will do that kind of a monologue, because we just need to hear shit from a woman's voice, from a Black person's voice, about things that are happening in the United States. But anyway, that's not what At Midnight is. So that's a separate thing.
It probably won't be it. Yeah.
No. And it'll, it's all clips now. The world is clips. And so they'll just need lots of jokes fast, which is, cool. That's good. We need some comedy. I like comedy. But so the BBC was like, oh, we want to talk to an American, and Jessie Gaskell, who wrote on Conan's, like, gave him my name. And so there's this thing on Conan where in the beginning on late night, when it just started, they didn't really have any, like, you make fun of your host for some reasons. And for Conan, because he was so new and young, the take on him was, it became like that he's really tall and white and pale and red hair and arms that go everywhere, right? But early on, it was like he's a bedwetter, he's a virgin and a nerd and a woman. Like, that was, when someone would make jokes on him in a sketch, it was always like that. And at one point, he kind of like was to his writers, hey guys, I don't wet the bed. I'm not a woman. Is there anything else, right? And so it was sort of just like, we would always joke about how kind of ridiculous those first takes were of him, right? Yeah. So the BBC guy, so he's somehow came up with that late night. And I said, well, Conan was a lot more silly, and some of these other shows will, spend a lot of time informing you and then give you a joke. And we were just more silly. And then he said, well, yeah, I guess women tend to be more silly, right? Wouldn't you say? And I said, well, Conan's not a woman, because it was, I don't know, it just reminded me of a conversation, but I was like, wait, I'm not talking to anyone who knows this riff. And he kind of got annoyed that whatever, it was just a weird moment. And so, they had me come on after talking about like human rights abuses in China. So it wasn't, I would say it was not a necessary interview.
I have to say that anyway. I have to say that any number of problems with all of that. I don't always do this line, but when my dad got carjacked and he fought back to the carjacker, my brother Russ was like, I can't believe you cared about that car. What was your purse in the car? And the reason that was funny for my brother Russ was because he made my dad into a woman. And I was like, well, you can fuck right off. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, most monologue jokes from every late night host do not fare well, even within 2 years, because what we laugh at and what we joke about, it changes, it shifts very quickly. So yeah, I mean, you can watch any old, like you watch some old Johnny Carson stuff. It's like, oh my God,
Oh, oh no. Oh
not
no.
even that you wouldn't get the references. The sexism is just like unbelievable. And,
It's
it's,
yeah.
it, the monologue I think reflects the time that you're in, and it's not going to be timeless. So
Right.
they're good at screenshots, if you will, of what that year was like, including what was acceptable and what people laughed at, which I think
Completely.
it's more like anthropological comedy,
Yeah, it's an excellent thermometer. You could definitely gauge what was going on around you. So,
Sure. Yeah. Anyway,
yep.
so that was that. I was at the West Side last night. That was a lot of fun. Saw Chris Estrada, who was
Oh,
hilarious.
nice. Yep.
Yeah, Gorbos killed opening. It was a really good crowd. It was fun. And then came back and watched Attack on Titan with my son. And it was a week more of mothering and being like mom stuff than being a hardcore comic. So I'm looking forward to next weekend in Austin with you.
Right. We will gather. We will do stand up
Mm-hmm.
comedy. The shows. Yeah. I tried to talk Brian into doing one of those Bert Kreischer crowd shots because he's getting standing
Oh
ovations,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah,
he
sure.
was like, well, that seems weird. And so I'm just, when he turns around to come back into the room, I'm snapping pictures of him to see if I can just sort of get the standing O behind him. Because I think
Yeah.
he feels. And then, yeah, what else? So we went from Buffalo and then, yeah, it was Worcester to Buffalo. That was overnight. And then Buffalo to here. That was overnight. And I completely overpacked. There's absolutely no reason why I would need 4 pairs of pants when I'm mostly just sleeping in sweatpants in a cubby bunk.
Right.
So, which is cold, by the way, because David likes it
Yeah.
cold, and he's the one who has to be on the road 50 weeks a year in his bunk. So I
God
just
dang.
the first night I just wore a sweatshirt and socks, and the second night I forgot my sweatshirt, and so I had to put the pillow in front of the vents. So and but the second night there's like and then it's weird. There's like a little TV in there in the bunk that I've never
Oh,
turned
nice.
on, and I wouldn't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might as well.
Yeah. Why
And quite
would you
honestly,
actually?
I could watch it on my phone. It would be almost the same size.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I was going to watch TV, because there is Wi-Fi, and um, his girlfriend, and I think they've been together like 6 or 7 years now. She's really nice, and
Brian.
she's always psyched when I'm there. She's like, "It's another woman." Yes, and the last night though on the bus, I took off my shirt to put on my sweatshirt, and David was on one side of me and Brian was on the other, and Brian just turned beet red and turned around. I said, "I'm a never nude. I'm a never nude, Brian. Think of it. It's I always have a T-shirt on. You're fine. Don't sweat it." But he's such a good, thoughtful guy. He's worried
Yeah.
so that I would be uncomfortable.
Um. That's sweet. I my publisher got back to me, and the minimum amount of books I would have to buy for them to do a reprint is garage filling
Thousands?
and savings account draining. A
Yeah.
lot, a lot. 500. That's a lot. It costs me a lot. I was like, I can't. That would be years of books based on my
Right.
current touring life, right?
Right.
And
It would definitely be. That's
is
because that's why.
is there
Yeah.
a way? Could I just buy 50 at a time? Is there a way I could buy 50 at a time? But I promise I'll buy them all at some point. I don't know.
Right.
They're looking into it. It's a bummer situation to be in.
Yeah. I had to buy 1,000 of each of my albums and CDs, and I still have my album from 2001 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have Circus People, which are in hard. They're in jewel boxes, the CDs, and Get this, though. Good news. All of my albums, except for Circus People, and I'm okay with that, are back on Pandora, which is amazing.
Okay.
And 271,000 spins in the last 45 days.
Wow. How do you?
Right.
I don't know that
Which
I've
is
even
amazing.
checked.
And because, well, here's the thing. Pandora is the reason why most of my fan base knows me. They're women our age who listen to Pandora. They don't listen to Spotify. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Huh.
So I'm back on Pandora AMP.
But that doesn't get you any money, right?
Pennies, I think. It's streaming money, so I don't think it's not serious money at all. But like
it gets you, possibly get you people coming to shows.
Right. It's the same as Spotify. It's just pennies. But
I have to check Pandora.
The Pandora
were they all taken off because of the Sirius thing? Or because of Spoken Giants?
Yep.
All right.
And Sirius XM bought Pandora, so it might be a first step into getting them back on Sirius.
God.
It'd be
I
so
can't
great.
believe 2 years of not getting any sort of royalties. Oh my God.
Yeah.
At the same time, I lost my job. It's been devastating. I can't even tell you.
You don't have to. I'm over here.
I know.
So so that's been the sort of the good news. Last night we all went out to dinner. Brian's agent took all of us out. He's a Gersh guy. But I don't think I've ever met him. He's one of the partners. So
wow.
He said nice
and
things
he was
about
in Buffalo?
TJ Mark. No, New York City. We're in Long Island right now. We had to take it overnight to Long Island.
Gotcha.
And this one has 2 shows. Yesterday, and it's great. I got to unpack my luggage. I got to sleep it out in a bed. But yesterday I went early to where the Paramount Theater is in Huntington, and I did all the things that you can do on the hipster street that is New York Avenue in Huntington, right by the Paramount, which is I went to the T-shirt shop where they had T-shirts that people had actually worn in the 80s, Laurie. They were $95. I was like, you guys are idiots. And then I went and had a tofu sandwich at a place called Soul Coffee. Better than it sounds. And then I went and I got a nails. I got my nails done.
Interesting. Look at you with your fingernails. Are they long?
They aren't. They're short and buffed because I don't ever put nail polish on my fingernails because they get chipped.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
me neither. I wonder if that's an our age thing. Like, I would love to have Marcella fingernails for a week. I don't even know how to contemplate it.
Yeah, all the cool ladies of our age that don't. I mean, I just have never done it. So
they have nice nails. Yeah, me neither. I just never got into it.
And then my feet are so too much info, but my feet are so dry. I made the runner take me to Target so I could buy a giant thing of lotion, and I put all lotion on my feet and then stuck them in the laundry bag in the hotel room. And went to sleep.
Wow. All right. I mean, had there been a fire, would you have been able to escape? You would have been slipping and sliding all over.
Fire alarm went off. I got up.
Really?
My feet had sucked up all of the lotion. There was no lotion left because my feet are dry. And I went out of my room, and a guy across the hall came out of his room, and we looked at each other, and I said, "Do you see any fire?" He said, "I don't." And then we both went back to sleep. Into our rooms.
I think that's not how fire works, but I'm glad that you're both alive.
Right, we both lived.
What? How much are we? Should we? Okay.
Yep. Right now.
Yep.
All right.
Boop.
Comic of the week. We went to the Buffalo. You know who opened up for Joe Dombrowski? I think I've got that right. He was so nice, such a nice guy. But and I had met her before, and I had worked with her, but of course, my brain is a sieve. So I followed her on Instagram. She's our comic of the week this week, and her name is Katie Hannigan, and she's a New York comic. And I watched her reels because she was like, well, I think we worked, and she told me where. I had forgotten immediately. But Katie Hannigan Forever is her Instagram handle, and her reels are hilarious. She is very funny.
She's very funny.
Super funny.
And it's Katie, Katie Hannigan, Hannigan, Forever. Katie Hannigan Forever at Instagram.
Forever or the number 4?
Oh, the spelling out of
the spelling way.
Okay, gotcha.
Solid question.
Well, congrats, Katie.
Maybe you'll be
added to the Pantheon
6 years from
now. Yeah, maybe you'll. No,
it is a
great.
Pantheon.
She's,
That's what we're doing. We're creating a
really
Pantheon.
We are. That's right. She goes out with Mike Vecchione, who's a very funny comic as well. That's a comedy couple I approve of. Now, Jackie, there is some hot gossip that we can't even talk about. You saw it in the chat. Someone went on a tweet storm and put up some comedy gossip that it was like eye blinking.
Oh, wait.
You didn't
I don't
see
know.
That?
Can you put that in the chat? I can't figure out how to use the chat on Motorside.
I
can't. Click the chat one and it'll come up, and then click everyone.
Okay.
Click
all right.
everyone.
We might have to pause this for a second.
Here, I'm gonna do that just because I'm invested in this.
Okay, now it worked. You did the chat. We stopped recording. You probably could have just told me. But hilarious. Now we know.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Now we have the chat.
I won't even utter it, Jackie. I won't even utter it. But the person who tweeted it has tweeted some true shit before. So I was also, like, wow.
She is walking around with 2 rocks of Gibraltar where her ovaries would be. She is amazingly calling. She always calls.
Yes.
She has 0 fucks, and I like that about her.
I love it about her. I have a couple fucks, which is why I'm not saying her name or retweeting or even pretending that I'm pretending I didn't see it. I have a fucks left.
Here's the thing. I barely know the person who she's talking about, and I don't know who the other person is.
Right.
But I assume that they're both very famous and probably respected. Are they respected?
It's a both likely and unlikely pairing. That's what I would say, based on what the little I know. But it was just like, oh wow, interesting. All right, and I'll just keep that in my back pocket, as if everyone who saw it will, and do nothing with it. Honestly, what can we do? Who cares? But it's a welcome diversion from the Middle East. So I'll thank both of those people. For if it is true, that gossip, thank you.
Yes, and it's a nice. You could write it in a snail mail letter, like it's a Civil War letter to your old people. I don't know that in my head that sentence had all kinds of potential. It
Jackie,
went away.
I was pulling for you. I saw you start. I was like, please God, let her pull herself out of this ditch.
Let her find the words. It's I've been trying to figure out what exactly, because when I open for Brian Regan, I always think, is this too dark? Is this should I mention this? Should I mention that? And there's no rules, there's just usage, right? Where you're like, no, he doesn't talk about these things, so you probably shouldn't. Because I'm trying to set him up, right? I'm trying to let them just be vaguely warmed up so that they can knock it out of the park. He can knock it out of the park, and and I'm not necessary, but I am part of the solution, right? So I would hate to to sabotage it at all, and so I have in the middle of my sort of prayer bit last night. I remember there was a joke about smoking pot, and I was like, his people don't want to hear the word marijuana or pot or weed or whatever I'm calling it. the Mary Jane.
Jazz cigarettes.
So the joke didn't land very well, is what I'm saying. But the audience last night was so great. The night before, some of the sets, if I get in my head, I don't like. They go fine. I was talking to him about how, because we were just talking about stand up, obviously, and he was like he said, when was the last time you really died? You really ate it? And I said, well, it's been a long time, but I have to say that my standard is much higher now. Like I want, if I'm not carried off stage with a parade, I feel like I haven't done well, right?
Yeah.
So I just 40 years later, it's supposed to be something, right? And yeah. So, but it is always fun to tell comedy stories around him. And the Walnut Creek one.
Oh, totally. What's his Walnut Creek story?
Was his agent's Walnut Creek story. He said it was the only time he had to go to bat for Brian. So this is back, 25, 30 years ago. And he had, they wanted to cancel him. And I guess.
Oh my God.
Well, because they wanted to bump him for something. And it
wasn't that he didn't do well. It was before the gig started.
He wasn't even there, but it was just the week before or something. And so his agent had to go, hey man, no, you can't. And it's the point and purpose of all agents and managers is so that we don't have to be jerks.
Yes.
Which is why, and he also told a story of someone who asked to rep him.
Oh, you put that in the chat as well?
And that's in the chat.
Oh my.
And this was in the 90s. And that guy wanted the agent guy to rep him, and he was like, sure. I mean, you've got a big name, you got a niche, you got a thing to do. And then in the middle of lunch, the guy snaps and starts saying how much he hates agents, that they're weasels, that they're pointless. And this guy just goes
to an agent.
Right. He goes, I'm an agent. And he said, well, you can fuck yourself. And he stood up and walked out. And he tells us this story, and I'm waiting for it. And there's a pause, and he goes, I paid the bill. And I was like, see, that's a classy thing, actually, after being told that he was a monster, that he picked up the check, because they had gone to the Palms. So, it was like a $50 lunch in 1995. So
that's a lot. Okay. Oh, shoot. I had something else to add. I forgot. Yeah. Oh, so the punchline in Walnut Creek was it was a very white kind of room. It was like, I'd say maybe a little more Republican than liberal, but it's a bit Bay Area. So it's like liberals who consider themselves, whatever. But anyway, I think the people that Bill Hicks walked dozens, if not the entire audience, famously at the Walnut Creek punchline. Yeah. But I think that the best sets I ever saw there were Warren Thomas, may he rest in peace, shitting on white girls at the punchline, and they loved it. It was a match made in heaven, Warren Thomas shitting on white women. And it's sad that we can't see that right now.
That is.
But yeah, he was like the classic punchline killer.
That's so cool. I would like to work the punchline.
Well, I got
invited. Yep. I got invited to the 60th anniversary. And I did you see my reply that I put in
at the improv? Yep. Yeah, at the improv. Yes, I did. Yeah.
And nobody's called me.
Won't help your career at all.
No, but what we'll do is, because I'm on a 60-year rotation of being booked on the road at the improv. So
yeah.
It'd be and it's not like there isn't a comedy club in the world, I think, that could be shamed into booking someone. So it didn't actually matter at all. So
yeah,
but it made me happy for a heartbeat.
I would make me happy as well. Yeah, I'm not going to that. I RSVP'd no, so they would know, I guess. But you know,
Yeah. Well, I'm on the. I just told him I was on the road and I couldn't do it, and you
yeah,
are already booked, if I remember correctly. So,
yeah.
yeah.
But you know what? So I gave my treatment to my manager, Bruce, and he finally got back to me with notes, and they're all very addressable. And I was like, yeah, actually, that makes sense. So again, working on it, circling back, working. It's taking way longer than I assumed it would take, but I guess that's this process. And then I hope to be done before the strike is over, SAG strike. But I don't know. We'll see. It's like not in a good place again. All of a sudden, the studios are doing that. This is our best, brightest, only last offer, and it's like, no, it's not, because you can't do it without the actors. So you don't have a best offer. They'll tell you what your best offer is, and then they'll come back to work.
Right, because that's when it'll work. That'll be your best offer, the one that everyone says yes to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's nuts. I haven't been able to pick it at all, of course, because I've been home for 2 days, then gone, and then home for 2 days, and then gone. We're going to Austin, Texas, 9, 10, 11 of November, of course. Going to do a live hang podcast and a little bit of stand-up. So if you want to hang out with us and you're in Austin, Texas, please come. But then we come back home on the 11th of November, and then I go and I do a bunch. The 12th, that's right. And then I leave again right away to do West Virginia and Pittsburgh, and
those
then
are door deals you're doing yourself.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
in an effort
to see if you can pull it off.
Yep, that's it.
I love it. I am after that. I go to the Comedy Fort Friday and Saturday, the 17th and 18th, and then oh my God, Jackie,
yeah,
and Anna's opening for me, and I just was like, wonder what it's like to run a car, because I have it's a drive to Denver. I'm flying into Denver, and then I'm getting in super early, and I'm leaving super early, so it's I wonder if I can rent a car and not have to get somebody to wake up at 6 a.m. to drive me someplace.
I am around for that portion of the run too. Anna's recording her album at the end of that run with you, and I am out there to tape it.
Oh, cool. Oh,
yeah,
right
it's going to be a grand little adventure out there. So they should definitely come out to all the shows.
Oh, heck yeah. But they are renting cars you can get a rental at Denver, $30 a day with something called Sixt, SIXT. And people have weighed in and said it's a legitimate company. But you should take pictures of the car when you drop it off, because they do try to get you to pay for damages that you may not have incurred. So that's fine. But I also had some points from Expedia, so I'm getting the rental, taxes included, for $60. It's crazy.
Oh, that's great. And D-Rod, David Rodriguez, Comedy Fort comic owner, he has a PR firm asking if he could be on the Dork Forest. I was like, well, this feels elaborate. Just ask me. You can totally do it. And anytime,
I think he's recorded a special, right? Did he do a special or an album? I thought I just...
Yeah.
Cool.
Probably.
Yeah, and then the week of December 1st.
Yeah.
Friday, December 1st, I am at Boxcar Comedy Club in Springville, Utah. It's about an hour south of Salt Lake. And so what I did to promote it, the last time I was in Salt Lake, I was working at this club called the Comedy Circuit, run by maniacs, right? Including this guy who would like, when I found an article about the Comedy Circuit in the Deseret News from 1990. It's long closed, but they're like, it has a fireman's pole in the middle. No, guys, it's a stripper's pole. It's not a fireman's pole. It's a stripper's pole in the middle of the club, and the DJ / owner / MC would slide down it to start the show.
Okay.
Anyway,
wow, it's like the circus. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a kind of a nutty situation, but I took some video from that, and I kind of made a little promo reel about how I'm still
That's
going to go after Pocatello, Idaho, which is what I was doing in the 90s. Believe me, the clubs I worked the circuit in the Northwest, Pocatello guaranteed laugh.
oh yeah, it's a
Jackie,
real word.
you
It's a
need your
real word.
guaranteed laughs. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you do. I will say that I'm home for once I get back from the Pittsburgh, doing a bunch of shows around Pittsburgh at West Virginia, Morgantown. I'm home until like the 9th of December when I'm doing Ann Arbor. I'm going to do the Ann Arbor shows. But I've decided I'm going to use. I haven't been using my points off of my Sapphire Chase card, and I've got a bunch of points where I can use. I can get free hotel. I can get free vehicles. Yeah. So the Pittsburgh and Morgantown, West Virginia gigs, they're both getting me hotels, which I think is very nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How did you find them? How did you start this life, Jackie?
I can't remember, but I'm more than willing to tell you. It's I'll tell you who's helped me out, but I will say I have some friends in Spokane that I really, and there's like some sort of like a Nazi town in Idaho about half an hour from Spokane called Coeur d'Alene or
Coeur d'Alene, yeah.
Coeur d'Alene, that's it. And
yeah, it's real.
It's real, and it turns out I'm willing
to. It's been like that since
the 40s.
It's been like that since the 80s. Oh yeah, probably yeah. But I mean, that was a punchline. That was a punchline about Coeur d'Alene when I started. Was that it was where Nazis were and white supremacists were? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you've done all of this West Coast business up and down for
Dude,
decades.
You're talking my life right now. You're just throwing out these city names like you just discovered them. Meanwhile, I've worked every Red Lion within 100 miles of all these places, and you're acting like you just discovered it, like you're Lewis and Clark. Guess what? I've been there.
I would like to be Lewis. Here's my question. If this podcast were Lewis and Clark, I would be Lewis and you would be Clark because it's Jackie and Laurie show. I might be super tired. Anyway, very polite of you to just say right. Anyway, continuing. So if I could figure out a way to actually get us a run around Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, we should do it. Yeah, and I think we have some Patreon money that we could sort of cannibalize just to make sure that it didn't cost us. Yeah.
Jackie, can I just say how upsetting it is that two comedians of our caliber have to dig into Patreon money to not lose money working gigs? This fucking industry, when I think about it, I'm so angry and appalled that we're still scraping around for bare minimum shit. But that's okay. Yeah. Hey, happy to be alive.
Right, every day above ground. Come on, every day above ground.
Yeah, right.
We're plugging along. And quite honestly, I have so many. I just wrote like I have a quality problem, Laurie Kilmartin, and that is I just wrote another premise today. And so that gives me like 6 premises I need to be working on. And so I'm in Ann Arbor, that'll help. And I'm doing these shows in sort of, it's called King's Fly Spirits in Pittsburgh on the 18th, and then in Morgantown, West Virginia, it's called like 123 Pleasant. I don't know what that means.
What the fuck?
And it's in Morgantown, West Virginia. But whatever it is,
what's happening to bar names in this country, Jackie? We're a country that has a late show that starts at 9 p.m. and the bar names make no sense. What about working Chilkoot Charlie's and the early show starts at 11 p.m. and the late show starts at 2 a.m.?
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
What's the Red Lion? Is the Red Lion one of those like Best Western-y kind of things where it's the hotel and the bar?
They always had a bar attached, yes, and it was frequently called Misty's Lounge, but not always. But I guess that it was just sexy enough to people to come by.
Right, and you could perform in that bar, and then you could go to the room which was attached, right?
Right,
it was
exactly.
Included.
That was always the deal.
The Best Westerns all had the bar that split the room in half, fucking up the flow of audience chatter. Like the audience they sat in front of the bar towards the stage, and the way back where they thought they were seeing a band. And
possibly, I don't think they sometimes they would take over other hotels, but definitely no show was oriented to stand-up comedy at all. Right. It was all about live bands and but stand-up was a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah,
super cheap. We all know how the boom started.
Right. So let's take another break. Let's take a break.
Yeah, perfect timing.
And now that we've taken that break, we probably have 7 or 8 minutes left. Yeah.
I think so. I'm putting up Christmas lights. I'm getting it over with now. The neighbors are depressed that I'm doing this. People have already commented that it's too soon.
What? That ours have been up the whole year and lit. Like just fucking Christmas lights around the house. Ever since Trump was elected, I'm like, Christmas all year. I am Ebenezer Scrooge. I don't care. Yeah. I listen to Christmas. I have it on my rotation. It's on my airport mix. The MAME, I Need a Little Christmas. Christmas Valentine by Michael Bublé, I think. Whatever. There's like a handful of Christmas songs that are on my all year long list, and sometimes I skip them. But sometimes I'm like, I need to hear Whitney Houston or somebody fucking singing Silent Night, because that's going to make me not stab somebody with this pen. So
yeah. And Mariah Carey, of course, Yeah. She's the official songstress of Christmas, Mariah Carey. Jackie, there was a mouse.
Go ahead. You got mouse talk?
Yeah. Okay, so I have my bird feeders, and I'm kind of interested to see what happens at night near my fountain, because I come out and a lot of the water's missing.
Right.
A lot. Like, there are animals getting to it. Now, what animals? I don't know if I want to know. Do I want to get a webcam, look at it, and see 15 rat tails sticking out of it? I don't want to know. But there was a little mouse sitting in my one of my bird feeders, and I was like within 3 feet of it, and it was just looking at me, like not even afraid of me. So I had to. It turns out then I studied the mouse, how I got to the bird feeder. I like put out I recorded it, and I'm like traced its steps, and so I cut all the branches it was crawling all over, and haven't seen it since. But it's I and my dog are stalking little animals around the house. We've both become equally obsessed with what goes on outside that window.
Of catching those. Aren't pit bulls rat dogs? Don't they? Aren't they rat?
They are, and so that's why there's never been any in the house. Or in the places she is, but there's plenty of little places to crawl away, and they crawl away. So she doesn't really catch them, but she does. Her presence keeps them away from the living space, which is great.
A very sweet,
great deterrent. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Means well. I'll say she means well. She's an alpha.
She's only like,
and
what is she, 3 or 4?
A little irritating.
Yeah.
She's 3.5. I keep being told, oh, this is the age they calm down, and it keeps being a lie. So I don't know.
Do you know that when I started dating, when Andy and I moved in, and he had an iguana, right? And he had the iguana for like 10 years. And I said, how long do iguanas live? And he goes, 15 years. And I was like, okay. And then at 15 years, I was like, how long do iguanas live? He goes, about 20 years. And then at 20 years, I said, how long do iguanas live? He's like, maybe 25, 30 years. And so Tiberius died when he was 23. And I think
the marriage survived.
The marriage, yes.
Look, Andy knew what he was doing. He was tricking you. He roped you in. You
Right,
stayed.
right.
Good for you, Jackie.
I have if these one nighter, I'm trying to figure out how to book next April. March, April. Yeah, I believe it to be April in Melbourne, and next October in Germany. And I don't want to. I want someone else to do it. But
I
I've
have
sort of
committed.
half promised Greg Fiddler that I would come to Melbourne right before the festival, and I've sort
Why?
of and I
Why
would
shouldn't
like
you be in
to,
the festival?
because Susan Provenon has never responded to my emails since 2005 when I was there.
Oh, all right.
And she's the one who books it. So
That's all right.
it's a long time.
Oh,
It's a hell of a
it is a long
rotation.
time.
It's
It is a long time. I think you've written some new stuff, but I've never been to Australia. I'm sort of just doing until my son graduates from high school. So that's like the next year and a half, you know,
Mhm.
uh, doing just weeks. I can't go out for like 3 weeks to another country. I can't do that because, you know, it's just me and him now. So it's a little tight little group here. He doesn't have
Yeah.
his driver's license yet. I don't want him driving at all, ever. I don't want
Um,
him getting it when he's 21. I just don't trust people. These people drive like lunatics, you know? It's not good. So anyway, I'm sort of, you know, gonna be here,
yeah.
just doing my
Yeah.
little weekend runs. You know,
Mhm.
I would love to go to Australia for 6 weeks or whatever. That will be another time.
Right. Right. I don't. The the European run has some armed forces gigs in it too, but not like the kind of armed forces gigs where they pay for air. So very disappointing as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
But I say go to JackieCation.com and see the new. I got new merch for Christmas. I got a lot of dates coming up. Check them out. Listen, watch the specials. Do whatever you want. And
Mm-hmm.
why don't you plug something and let's get the hell out of here?
You know, you go to kilmartin.com. There's you know, links to dates that I've already told you about. Listen, you can still get Dead People Suck on Amazon. You might as well sell it out. Okay. Someone's hoarding their copies, so you can get it bookstores or whatever that sell through Amazon. So sell it out so that I have even more of a reason to pressure them to reprint, you know? I don't know. Enjoy your lives.
Ended on
Perfect.